We are now entering the fourth week of the war, and we are witnessing a bizarre paradox. On one hand, missiles are landing in Tel Aviv and Tehran. On the other, we are hearing whispers of a major diplomatic breakthrough, with Islamabad emerging as an unlikely mediator. But are we closer to peace, or is this just a smokescreen for the next wave of violence? Today, we break down the latest military updates, the diplomatic battle unfolding in Pakistan, and the widening cracks between the US and Israel. Despite US President Donald Trump claiming that Iran is totally defeated and that negotiations are underway, the military reality on the ground tells a different story. In the last 48 hours, the conflict has shown no signs of slowing down. Iran launched at least 7 waves of missiles into Israel since midnight, causing significant damage to buildings in Tel Aviv and striking near the Dimona nuclear reactor site. Meanwhile, Israel's defense forces have struck over 50 targets in Iran overnight, including launch sites and the Bushehr nuclear power plant area, though Iran reports no major damage or casualties. We are also seeing the conflict spill over dramatically into neighboring states. Kuwait reported detecting 17 ballistic missiles and 13 drones in its airspace, while the UAE claims to have intercepted over 357 ballistic missiles since the war began on February 28th. The United Nations is now warning of a regional war that could destabilize the Gulf for a generation. This is not the picture of a war that is winding down. So, if the fighting is this intense, why is everyone talking about Islamabad? On March 24th, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif formally offered Islamabad as a venue for negotiations, stating Pakistan stands ready and honored to be the host. But here is where it gets messy. President Trump claims the US is already in direct negotiations with Iran and has even floated a 15-point agreement, specifically mentioning that Iran has agreed not to pursue nuclear weapons. However, Iran's envoy to Pakistan, Reza Amiri Moghadam, categorically denied this yesterday. He stated there have been no talks between Washington and Tehran. He called the current war the result of America's betrayal of the negotiations. So who is telling the truth? The reality is likely somewhere in the middle. Sources confirm that the US requested Pakistan to host these talks, and back-channel communications are happening via Turkey and Egypt. But Iran is playing hardball. According to Reuters, Tehran is demanding massive concessions, including formal control of the Strait of Hormuz and compensation for war damages, before they will sit down formally. The message from Iran is clear. We are not negotiating while the bombs are falling. While Pakistan tries to bring the US and Iran together, Israel is making it clear they are not necessarily on the same page as Washington. An Israeli official told CNN that a deal to end the war does not appear to be tangible right now, and that Israel's military campaign will continue regardless of the diplomatic noise. Defense Minister Israel Katz stated on Tuesday, "We continue striking Iran with full force." This divergence exploded into public view recently when Israel struck the South Pars natural gas field in the Gulf, a target the US reportedly did not approve of. President Trump publicly distanced himself, saying the US knew nothing about this particular attack. Analysts say Israel is pushing for regime change and long-term degradation of Iran's military, while the US is more concerned about oil prices spiking and getting bogged down in another Middle Eastern quagmire just before the midterm elections. So, where does this leave us? We are in a strategic deadlock with 3 distinct realities. First, the military reality. The war is expanding. We have seen 15 members of Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces killed by US airstrikes and Iranian strikes on Erbil. The longer this goes on, the higher the risk of a catastrophic miscalculation involving Gulf energy infrastructure. Second, the economic reality. Brent crude is back above $100 a barrel. The CEO of the UAE's ADNOC called Iran's closure of the Strait of Hormuz economic terrorism against every nation. This economic pain is the biggest pressure point forcing Washington to seek an off-ramp. Third, the diplomatic reality. The Islamabad initiative is real, but it is fragile. While Pakistan is trying to thread the needle, the window for a ceasefire is closing. Iran's leadership is demanding guarantees that the US and Israel will not simply regroup and strike again. The next 5 days are critical. President Trump has paused strikes for now to allow these back channels to work. If the Islamabad talks fail to produce a concrete framework, specifically regarding Iran's nuclear program and the security of the Strait, we could see an escalation far beyond what we have witnessed in the past month. We will be watching the developments in Islamabad and the front lines closely. If you want to stay updated on this rapidly evolving story, hit like and subscribe. I will see you in the next update.